Hey YouTube, welcome to part 1 of the questions and answers video. That's in response to my previous call for questions. If you didn't see that video and you still want to ask some questions, then it's only part 1 right now, so you can still ask the questions. If you want to ask any questions for me to answer on one of these live videos in front of the webcam, in the description you'll find a link to my Facebook fan page in which you can find the link to the post I've made where you can just add your questions to this list, and I'll read them off. So I'm going to read off all the ones that I have so far, and if I end up getting any more over the course of the next few days because of this video making people aware of it, then yeah. Also tonight on my tonight and tomorrow on my Facebook fan page is when I start the poll on what game I'll Let's Play next, that you can go on my Facebook fan page and vote there in the poll. Just letting you know in case you're not watching the current Let's Play but you still want to vote, then that's there for you. So, I've got Facebook right here in front of me, and it's time to start reading them off from top to bottom. All the questions I've gotten. Thomas asks, what is the most hilariously bad creepypasta you've ever read? See, that's a really hard question, because I've read a lot of really funny bad ones. I remember Deoxys World. I think it's how it's pronounced. I don't know. I'm always told I pronounce it wrong. I remember that one being really, really funny with the whole Speedna said kill self. No, Speedna had kill self, kill self, kill self, kill self. Speedna used killed self. Speedna killed self. Speedna killed itself. I once saw someone actually have a hand-drawn picture of Speedna and overlaid that on it. It was really funny. So maybe that one. There is what was it called? Ballad of the Damned was pretty funny bad, although it wasn't the funniest, most terrible one. Muted Emerald. Was it Muted? No, not Muted Emerald. No. Forgotten Leaf. I think that might have been it. The one with the Dragonair that comes out of the screen. That one was pretty funny. So, I can't give you a definite answer, but I just named off a few. Ryan asks, what inspired you to read Pokemon Creepypasta? Well, nothing really inspired me to read Pokemon Creepypasta. It's what inspired me to read video game Creepypasta in general. Pokemon are just the majority of ones that people write for me on the forum. So it tends to be Pokemon often, but what inspired me to... I'll modify the question then. What inspired you to read video game creepypasta? Same thing that inspired me to do most things on YouTube, which is basically I just saw so many people doing it poorly, and I said, fuck it, I can do it better. So then I did. And would you look at it now, I got popular because of it. Basically, what I mean by people doing it badly, the same thing I would consider bad in a dramatic reading, which is giving your own commentary on it during it. There's only one person I can think of that does that well, and that's Yuri of Wind. However, he's doing it like a comical way. I'm doing a reading and analysis of all of these stories. So I take a bit more of a serious tone to it. Like, some of these you can make fun of and get a lot of enjoyment out of in that way, but for the most part, I'm trying to analyze them and give critique. I'm a critic. So, there's that. Is there anything I really need to say about that video left? I don't think so. That question. Aaron asks, I remember Aaron actually used to come to my streams a lot. Aaron, out of all the pro wrestlers that wrestle today, who do you think is the most underrated pro wrestler? That's a hard question. The most underrated in pro wrestling today, that is so many wrestlers I could consider underrated, but I don't think I can really answer that, because most of the ones I can think of that I think are underrated do have their own big cult following. There's no one's just being forgotten, you know? So, I don't know. I don't really have an answer for that. Andrew asks, how did you get started on YouTube? Well, my real start on YouTube, because I was on Blip before that, and before that I was just making a lot of films back in high school. But my start on YouTube would be just, I started making Let's Plays. A lot of those old Let's Play videos are actually unlisted now because I think they're terrible and I don't want people to find that as their first impression of me. But they're still viewable if you go to the playlist section of my channel, so they're not impossible to find or anything. Anyone can watch them. It's just, it'll never be your first impression of me. So how I got started on YouTube is just, I already knew a lot about editing. Not that you need to know much about editing for Let's Play. I already had a microphone and the equipment. I just said, why not? Again, it was the same thing if I saw a lot of people Let's Playing badly, and I knew a lot of people that I really enjoyed who Let's Play. The main person that I enjoyed at the time and still enjoy to this day is Deceased Crab. Go check him out on YouTube. And I just decided I can do this better, and I would have fun doing it. So I tried, and I was terrible for a long time, but I think I've gotten decent now. I'm pretty hit or miss, but I enjoy doing it, and it's a small part of my job as far as income goes. As far as time dedication goes, it's the biggest part. I'm primarily a Let's Play channel. Next question. Ryan asks, what types of videos do you enjoy making the most? Probably screenshot warfare. I am giddy with laughter half the time while I'm making those. They are so much fun to record and make and everything. It's very, very rare that I ever get mad during them, even when, like, I'm arguing with a person and I think I'm going to get a screenshot warfare out of it. That's when it becomes very fun. So it can turn otherwise a stressful part of the job into a very fun part. A different Ryan asks, what is your favorite color of potato? Well, there are brown potatoes and red potatoes, although the red ones are a bit purplish. Depends on what it's for, really. I would say red potatoes entirely because when you cut them up and make like home fries with them, or if you make them into like hash browns, that's very good. And I like potatoes in general. Although I'm sure that was supposed to be a joke question. Gabriel asks, and Gabriel, by the way, good name. I think it's a cool sounding name. Do you have any phobias? Yeah, I'm afraid of deep, still water as well as heights, especially deep, still water. I've almost drowned a few times. I've never been able to swim, you see. Brett asks, what would be your dream Let's Play? A game that you really love, for example. See, I can't really answer that, because, like, what's your dream Let's Play? A game that you really love. If there's a game I really love, I'll Let's Play it. Like, that's the way I've always looked at it, is if you look at my list of potential Let's Plays, it's over on my forum in the admin area. I've always had it linked on my YouTube channel as well, is a list of all my computer specs, the programs I use, and every game that I currently plan to Let's Play. The majority of what I Let's Play is just games that I have a lot of experience with and have something to say about, or think that there would be some reason for watching me do it rather than someone else. If I don't think I can bring anything unique to the table, I'm not going to Let's Play it, so I don't really have a dream Let's Play. It's just, I already do all the games I like. Well, mostly games I like. I still do need to continue that Let's Play of Ride to Hell Retribution. Angelo asks, what is the most weirdest dream you've ever had? You mean the weirdest dream I've ever had. Most weirdest is redundant. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't tend to remember my dreams. Lucas asks, will you ever write your own creepypasta story one day? Probably not. I have no interest in writing a creepypasta. I'm a critic, not a novelist. Or author, whatever you want to call it. I guess it would just be an author in this case. Blake asks, what's your favorite topic for a creepypasta and why? That's a really hard question to ask. Or to answer, rather. What's your favorite topic? I guess that would entail the general plot of the creepypasta, or perhaps the game if we're talking about video game creepypasta, although he just said creepypasta. I don't know. I don't really have a favorite topic in mind. It's really, I just like to see unique ideas. I hate redundancy. It's why we have the big cliche list over on the forum where we catalog all the really bad cliches so we can try and weed them out. Joe asks, do you have a favorite / least favorite Pokemon? If so, what is it and why? I already have a video on YouTube called my top 10 favorite first generation Pokemon. I originally planned to have a top 10 least favorite, and then I would do each generation, but I had scripts for like 3 of them finished, and all the footage I needed for the entire top 10 I dislike the most from Generation 1. But it all died with my old hard drive like a year ago, and I just have never gotten around to rewriting it because it's so time-consuming to do. But yeah, my all-time favorite Pokemon is Drowsy / Hypno. I kind of put them in the same category, closely followed by Coughing and Wheezing. I don't think I have a least favorite Pokemon of all time. Not that I can think of off on my head, at least. Okay, next one. Oh, by Daedric Price. This, he's Savage Helios on the streams. He's there for the streams all the time on the forum, one of the most common posters. I'm pretty sure this is a joke post, because he already knows the answer to this one. But, yeah, he definitely already knows the answer to this one. But I'm guessing he just asked the question so that so more people can see the answer and stop messaging me about it, because even though I put it in the description all the time not to ask about it. Alright, Daedric Price asks, why do you think the Americanized spellings can't be considered their own and have to be corrected to British spellings? Just because they're the same language doesn't mean they have to be written the same way. I think the wording is also intentional on this, because it's very common sense what the answer is, and yet a lot of people seem to overlook it. Probably through national pride for a lot of them, which I think is such a dumb reason to favor one version of a language over another, is national pride. Canadian English isn't right either, it's why I don't use it. First of all, it's a presumptuous question, because he says, why do you think American spellings can't be considered their own and have to be corrected to British spellings? I don't think that. I've made it very clear that I don't think that, in fact. For the show, it should be UK English, because it's an international show. However, the reason... the best way to explain is he says, just because they're written in the same language doesn't mean they have to be written the same. Yes and no. Different countries have different spellings of certain words in certain languages. It's no more evident than when you look at the English language. The English language being the most widespread language in the entire world in terms of how many countries know it as a fluent language with the average population. I believe the most well-known language in all of Earth is actually Arabic, but that's just by population. English is the most widespread language as far as needing to know it to get by kind of thing. And because of that, not because of that, but it has a set amount of rules. English is already a very difficult language in that it's phonetic. And any kind of phonetic language it's much easier to learn in terms of learning how to write, but learning how to properly say things and what everything means is very difficult, especially because, as the Iroquois famously called it, the language of the liar. So we have all kinds of words that are pronounced the same, and often even spelled the same, but have very different meanings. The word there, for instance, can be spelled 3 different ways to mean 3 different things. All kinds of English words can mean multiple things. So it's already a problematic and not perfectly made language. Now, when you look at the American spellings of everything, you'll notice a lot of them are different, slightly, but different from the UK spellings. This mostly came through a combination of typos commonly, because when the United States was formed, as you know, of course, a lot of my viewers are American, you took history, you know that it was largely founded by like middle and lower class statesmen and workers, militia, stuff like that. So they tend to be lowly educated to not educated people, a lot of kind of blue-collar workers kind of people, so they didn't have an education. This was way back before free education and stuff like that. So a lot of them had to sound it out. Well, as you know, if you've ever gone through school with the English language, is that sounding it out rarely works. So they'd often mess up things, like they wouldn't know certain rules. A big example of this is color and honor. Color and honor both have a U in it, but in the Americanized Dictionary by Ian Webster, which is the first one to get big. By the way, Ian Webster was very public about how he kept those spellings for national pride, which I think is a terrible reason to accept typos into your national language. The reason the U is there was not immediately evident to the actual people there. We know it nowadays, but they don't teach it in the States. The reason for the U is the U is a silent letter that signifies that two letters before it use the other pronunciation of the word. That means that both O's and color aren't supposed to be pronounced the same way. The U is what tells us that the first O is pronounced the other way. So without it, it's color, because both O's are an O noise. If you use the U, that signifies that the letter before it, two letters before it rather, would be U, color, which over time developed through accents and everything to color. You'll notice this a lot with different accents. This is mostly an accent thing of, for instance, some Canadians say kitten, and lots just say kitten. And you know what I'm saying when I say kitten? We're all talking about a small baby cat. But I didn't pronounce any of the T's there, but you still know I'm saying kitten. So it's an accent thing. That's why we don't pronounce color that way anymore, and we pronounce it color now. It's kind of an unavoidable thing. If I were to say it the other way, most people would just think I'm an idiot. So it's kind of this necessary evil, honestly. However, the U, it's supposed to be there. If I owned a country, I could write my own dictionary, and the national language would be the Mah-Dry-Bread version of English, in which color is spelt with 10 R's. It's still wrong. I don't care if a country has adopted it as its national language. That doesn't make it correct. That country did not decide how letters in the language are pronounced. And even then, when you're looking at which one's correct, you kind of have to look at England. The language isn't called American, it's not called Canadian, it's not called Australian. You gotta look at it as English. It's not, and a lot of people like to say it's just the language naturally evolving over time like languages tend to do. It's not. It's one country making typos and then making it legal while the rest of the world doesn't do that. Canadian English actually has a few typos of its own. For instance, this is one that the Americas have in general, is we have artifact with an I. It should have an E. Artifact, not artifact. So there's another rundown of the explanation. I literally get a comment probably 2 or 3 times a week saying I pronounce color wrong, and I say read the description. Or people just bitching at me about how I pronounced it that way after reading the description that says, don't bring it up, I'm sick of it. So, whatever, it's an annoying part of the job. Kinda wish people would stop talking about it. Right, next question. Shelby, will you be making more screenshot warfares? Yes, actually, I got material for 2 more that just happened recently. In fact, one might come out this weekend on Sunday. Might come out this Sunday. It's one from the Heroes Wrestling podcast, actually. If you've never seen it, it's by a channel called Hero They Call Me. I've known him for so long now, but we didn't even start doing videos together until he invited me onto the Heroes Wrestling podcast over on his channel on YouTube. If you haven't seen it before, go check it out. It's actually really good. I enjoy it. And I enjoy being on it. But yeah, I recently got on that, and someone freaked out on him in the dumbest way and started this huge argument. So I was like, this is great material, and I got him to voice act himself on it. I have another one after that, too, of some other guy freaking out on me. So I've got a few lined up. Callum asks, when did you first get into gaming and or what made you start? P.S. If you end up using my question, please refer to my YouTube channel, C Square Gaming. Hopefully you know who I am, Andrea. Yes, I do remember you, actually. I believe I've checked out your channel before. I think you've inboxed me on YouTube. I think he does a few different video games, but I think Minecraft was one of them. It's so hard to remember. So many people inbox me now. When did you first get into gaming and what made you start? See, it's a weird question because I've always played video games. My very first memory ever playing a video game would be like golf on Microsoft DOS. I would have been 2 or 3. So what got me started into it, what made me start, I wasn't a late bloomer or anything. I started on video games very, very early in life. Douglas asks, this is actually Doug who you see on Pass the Controller Please all the time. Are there any bad movies that you like to mock when watching them? Any bad movie I watch. You know I riff... Doug, you know I riff on everything. Like, This is another reason why I Let's Play. I riff on things all the time, where I just make fun of it jokingly and enjoy that, for anyone who doesn't know what riffing is. Any movie I watch, even ones that I like most of the time, I'm riffing on it. That's why people love watching movies with me. Dan asks, what are your earliest gaming memories? Playing games as a child and such. I just answered that, so unintentional early answering of a question. Pete asks, what is your favorite Pokemon? Also, what is your favorite wrestler? I've already named my favorite Pokemon. My favorite wrestler is Stevie Richards. Liam asks, another cool name, favorite non-gaming creepypasta. I would count this as a creepypasta on its own. Marble Hornets. Marble Hornets is absolutely awesome. It's a YouTube channel. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. It's awesome. It's a little hit or miss, but for the most part, I really like it. It's based almost entirely on the Slender Man thing, and in fact, this was made well before the game Slender. In fact, the game Slender, it's the developers of it have actually said they were heavily inspired by Marble Hornets' interpretation of the Slender Man mythos. So my favorite non-gaming creepypasta, Slender Man. Sorry? S-A-R-A-I. Sorry? I think this is how it's pronounced. Sorry if I got it wrong. Fuck. I love puns. Why are you going to continue your dramatic readings, or are there no more good stories for them? I do want to continue them. In fact, I'm not even done my Immortal yet. I'm close to done. I really do want to continue those. I have a lot of fun with those. The problem is, I have so many other things to do. And, I have so many other things to do. B, they're not even remotely profitable. Almost no one watches them, which is annoying. And at the end of the day, like, I'm living below the poverty line. I gotta make some money. And the unfortunate thing is, I bet you people who watch creepypasta on my channel would absolutely love the shit out of the dramatic readings. But they just don't watch it. No one gives it a chance. A funny statistic, only 3% of people subscribe to my channel who watch the creepypasta watch anything I do outside of the creepypasta. They just don't give it a chance. It really sucks. But anyway, yeah, I've got some good ones lined up for it, actually. I know a lot of really hilarious fan fiction to do. It's just, the third reason why I don't do it so much is I get super tongue-tied. I'm already terrible at reading creepypasta. I have to edit out so many blown takes because I can't picture things in my head due to the cerebral palsy. I can't picture things in my head properly. So I'm reading it off the screen, but as I read ahead, sometimes I'll accidentally say a word ahead, and I'll blow that take and have to redo it. On top of that, because of so many of these fanfics having such terrible spelling, especially My Immortal, I get very, very tongue-tied. Sorry, I've got like a bit of a cold today. So I will do more. It's just, it's kind of an occasional thing. Zach asks, in your own time, do you ever read non-gaming creepypasta? If so, what's your favorite? I don't really read creepypasta in my own time anymore because I don't have my own time anymore. I'm almost always doing something for the show. In fact, basically any downtime I have now, I'm playing Payday 2 and power leveling in it with Brandon, Doug, and Guy, just so that eventually I want to be as experienced as possible for when I Let's Play the game. I'm almost Infamy level 2, in fact, which is, Infamy is when you get all the way to level 100, reset yourself to level 0, and then you get a few bonuses for it. I'm going to get to Infamy level 2, which is insane. I have gotten 58 hours in the game in the last 2 weeks. I have a grand total of, I think, 240 hours. So I've been doing that all for the show. Oh man, I see a name. I'm gonna guess that it is belonging to a Norwegian person. It's definitely Scandinavian. Stain, I believe it'd be pronounced. What is the most obnoxious thing you read in creepypasta? Oh, like what's the most obnoxious cliche? When they say Pokemon don't die in a Pokemon game, that one I find even more annoying than when they bring up Lavender Town for no reason. But Pokemon don't die in a Pokemon game. That line is in so many creepypasta. Like any Pokemon one, even ones of like any other game in which people don't die, they'll throw that one in there. It's like a plague for video game creepypasta. William posts all the time on my Facebook page here. William asks, if you could change anything about the world, other than Canada Post, it should be Canada Post, not Canadian Post, what would it be? If you could change anything in the world, either in Canada Post, what would it be? See, that's too broad a question, because if I'm only down to one thing, tea, by the way. Orange Pico, if you're asking, that's Canadian standard tea. It's decent. I prefer Earl Grey. See, there's so many things that I would want to get rid of. And like there's so many of them that would like chain reaction get rid of so many other things that are like, this would fixing this problem would also fix all these other problems, but it would leave all these other problems. So that's a really, really hard question. I need to think about that one. Bob asks, what is the most unfair thing you've seen in WrestleMania? I'm guessing this was entirely asked because the Undertaker just lost his streak. It's like I said in the Hero of Wrestling podcast, though, about the whole Undertaker losing the streak thing. And in fact, I uploaded a video of me watching it live. It's like I said on Heroes Wrestling podcast. I think Brock was the wrong person to lose it to. I don't get why, but I'm not particularly pissed off about it. So if you're asking it entirely because of that, then no. What's the most unfair thing I've ever seen in wrestling? There are 1,000 people I can think of that are really, really good that just weren't given a chance, but I can't narrow it down to one. Paul Burchill was a damn shame to not have Paul Burchill anymore. And Paul London. So many people. Raven asks, Raven being a big user of the forum, actually. In fact, it's RK Boogeyman who wrote Diamond in the Rough, one of the better stories on the show. Do you have a particular favorite section of the forum that you frequent more than the others, aside from just moderating? I like going to the music section because I have a topic there where people suggest music for me to listen to. So that's a fun one, but for the most part, I like going to just the anything else section. If it's not about moderating and it's not about my job, in which case, of course, the creepypasta section is very important to keep up on. But ones I just have fun reading, I enjoy the anything else section. A lot of topics there I think are just kind of junk, random conversations, but every once in a while you get a really fun one. Oh, we got another, I believe, Scandinavian name here. Sonder? Not sure. What do you consider to be the best game ever made? I do not put any particular numbers on games in question, as it can be very difficult to pick just one. Okay. So just, if I can't pick one, then pick what I think are the best made games ever, or the best games ever. That's another question I don't know if I can answer. People always ask me the really hard questions. I don't know if I can answer that, because like I've got my favorite games and everything. But the best games ever made? If I would say the best games... Okay, I'll answer it this way by saying a general group of games that I think are the best kinds of games ever made. I would say very well-made real-time strategy games. I'm sorry. Very well-made real-time strategy games are the best ones ever made. The amount of insane depth within them, the ever-growing depth, both as the community learns new tactics and new ways to get better, as players learn to adapt, learn to use their keyboards in different ways, to be able to speed up very simple processes, to shave off fractions of a second over and over on each little thing so that they get more and more of an advantage. The depth as the players learn new strategies and as the developers patch the game and change things. I think games like StarCraft Brood War, StarCraft 2, any kind of major RTS that has a ton of depth within it, to the point that it is literally some people's jobs to be the world-class athletes of this type of game. I think that those are the best made games of all time, entirely because the depth behind them and the ability to utilize it has become a job. It is so ungodly impressive and amazing. I think that that is awesome, and I have an infinite amount of respect for anyone who is a professional who makes their living by being on a sponsored team playing this video game, just like it's any other sport, because it's as valid as any other sport. I think that's awesome. So I don't know if that answers your question, but there you go. Got another difficult name here, Edvinus. I'm gonna go with that. In the future, are you planning to change something on your channel? It's a very broad question. Change makes it sound like getting rid of something old and replacing it with something new. I don't currently plan to take away anything, but I do always have a lot of plans to add new series and new videos, often miscellaneous ones. So yes, I am planning to add more stuff, and in fact, I've got a few really big projects coming up that I'm really excited for. I just wish I had more time in the day to record, honestly. But yeah, I got some big stuff coming up, so I guess you could consider that a change. Dawson asks, what is your opinion on My Little Pony and Bronies? I've got very little opinion on it. The My Little Pony cartoon, I've watched an episode or two entirely because I want to know what this whole thing is about, of everyone being really into it, and I think it's well made, but I'm not really interested in it. I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other either than I think it's well made. And Bronies in general, they're just like any other fandom. There's the weird subsection of it that's loud and crazy, and unfortunately they always get the spotlight and make the whole fandom look bad. And then the vast majority of them are just completely sane, normal people who just like a thing. It's every fandom ever is like that, really. It's like when you think of Trekkies, you think of Star Trek fans. The majority of them are really awesome people, and then everyone from the outside, when they look in, all they say are the few crazy dudes, you know? Brandy asks, may I send you an interesting creepypasta I read but didn't write it. It's about Professor Hook. It's a bit of a run-on sentence there. Yeah, just if you want a request for the show, then all you do is you inbox me on YouTube or put it in a comment or something with the link to the creepypasta, and I'll bookmark it. I only do requested creepypasta that weren't written by unless the author is coming to me, if after I've done all the homemade ones on my forum, if they're no more lined up, or I save it for the 7 days of creepypasta special whenever I do that, because if someone came to me and they wrote a story specifically for my show, specifically because they wanted to hear my opinions on it and for me to read it, that always comes first. That's what I say. Melvin asks, what is your opinion on the Necromancer, Psycho, and all other Borderlands 2 DLC? I know almost nothing about Borderlands 2 DLC. I liked Borderlands 2. I thought it was fun. I did a Let's Play of it. I did a PTCP Plays. It's the very first PTCP Plays I ever did, in fact, was a group Let's Play of Borderlands 2. You can see on my channel and Shally's channel. It's in the playlists, of course. We did it before any of the DLC was out. It was a fun game, but I'm not nearly as into it as most of my friends are. I know Shally, Fury, What a Geek, they're all super into that game, so maybe you should ask them. I don't really have an opinion on the Necromancer or the Psycho. I've never even played the Necromancer, in fact. Joseph asks, what was the first moment that you knew you loved playing video games? And then he said, wait, curse you, Dan. I think it's because he asked a very similar question, but again, it's so long ago that I can't answer that. Like, I don't even know if I fully understood that emotion when I was 2 or 3. Peter asks, and I'm guessing Peter here is a longtime viewer, why are you such a racist bigot? Okay, once when I was streaming Cavemen to Cosmos, which is a really good fan-made mod for Civilization 4, Sid Meier's Civilization 4 Beyond the Sword, like a year and a half ago during a stream, it was super late at night / early in the morning. Everyone was tired. We were all in that, you know, that mode of tired where you're so tired that everything is funny? And the chat started asking like disingenuous joking questions that got dumber and dumber. And randomly, I forget who it was, but someone's like, Mah-Dry, why are you such a racist bigot? And I don't know why, but Brandon and I were just tearing up laughing for like a half an hour at that hilarious question. Of course, it's a joke. I'm not racist or bigoted. However, that's a hilarious question. So thank you for that. Peter Parker? Don't know if that's a fake name or not. If not, I'm sorry, you probably get so many stupid jokes thrown your way. We're almost out of questions here. Maggie asks, what's your opinion on creepypasta yaoi and creepypasta fangirls/fanboys? I don't know anything about creepypasta fanboys and fangirls, and I didn't know creepypasta yaoi is a thing. I know that's a hentai thing. I don't know if that's the one that's lesbian or that's the one that's gay. I don't know. And I didn't even know that was a thing, although it doesn't surprise me to know, because if it exists, there's internet porn of it. Second last question. Aaron asks, if you can be anything in the world, what would you like to be and why? Also, I'm a fan and would like to know more about you. Would you be willing to talk to them, or would you be more of... Wait. Also, if a fan wanted to know more about you, would you be willing to talk to them, or would it be more of an, ew, you're an online person, no thanks, brackets, damn, I hope that didn't sound stalkerish. Why are people so nervous when they talk to me most of the time? You don't need to put these little anecdotes in the brackets at the end. I'm just a dude. I don't even know why you want to know more about me. I've always been really transparent and always just said everything about me, because what's the point in lying or hiding it? I don't care. Yeah, you can ask questions about me. Why not? Now's the time to ask it, you know? I've got another video of these coming up. If anyone wants to ask any questions, go ahead, ask more questions. But to answer your first question, if you could be anything in the world, what would you be and why? I don't know. I'm happy with being human. If we're talking about species, of course. I assume you're talking about species. And last question. Edward Green, what is your favorite mythological story? I was on a kick once of reading a shit ton of them. But that was so long ago now, in like early high school when I did that. I don't really remember a lot of them anymore. I'd have to have my memory jogged, so... Sorry, I don't really have one. But that's the last question. Wow, 193 people have seen this post? How many people have seen the video? Let me check. Let me refresh it. 347, so only like half of them actually clicked on the link. That's depressing. A little more than half, I guess. I think. Yeah, I can't math. But right. That's it for this video. If you want to ask me a question and have me answer it like this, then it's in the description down there. It's the link to the thread. And the first question that will be answered on the next one of these is the one right after Edward Green. So there you go. Thank you all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. And until next time, have a nice day.